Hi, good day everyone. My name is Ihedrika Blessing Onyechukwu and I'll be taking you on this Python course. First and foremost, we'll be going through the introduction to Python. So Python is a popular high-level interpreted programming language. So popular in the sense that Python is being used almost in in almost some splint applications, I would say. So it's very popular and it's a very high level language and it's well interpreted. Like you could simply interpret Python. Also, it is known for its simplicity, readability, and versatility. Python is quite simple to understand. As a newbie or a rookie in tech, you could when you come across if you've not seen a Python language before, even if you don't know that it's a Python language, when you come across it, you could simply understand the line of code. It's so simple and you could be able to read it and it's so versatile. So and this language Python was developed in the late 1980s by this man Guido van Rossum. This man actually developed this language that we are being that we are using now. So Python supports multiple programming paradigms, which includes procedural, object-oriented, and functional based use. And all these paradigms are being interpreted or being used in web development, data analysis, data science, AI, machine learning, scientific computation, and so on and so forth. That is why in when we started, we said Python is so popular. So all these paradigms are being used in this are being used in this applications I've mentioned, web development and the rest of them. So another thing we'll be knowing about Python is that Python has an extensive standard library. So Python has an extensive standard library which has pre-built modules and functions. So these modules and functions enables like it helps us like now like example like let me say for example a normal library as a student in a normal library you could go fetch whatever you want to in a normal library. So this is same thing has the same application for a standard Python library. It enables us as programmers, it eases our life. It already has pre-built modules and functions that will enable us to build whatever we want to build using Python. So Python also has active community of developers. So this community of developers enables people around the world to to connect, network, and do so many things among themselves. Another thing we'll be talking about is the features of Python. So we have different features of Python. One, easy to learn. Python is quite easy to learn. In the beginning, we said that it is simple, it is readable, and also it is versatile. So Python language is quite easy to learn more than some languages which include Java, C++, and the rest. Python is quite easy because they are being written in simple English context. Another feature of Python is free and open source. Python has, when it was developed, these languages were actually made free and open for us to use. So Python is quite, it has the feature of free and open source that you could go fetch and use whatever you want to use and build whatever you want to build. Even as time goes on, as we are developing, people go to add few things to that open source to upgrade the language. It wasn't as it was when the man that developed it in the 1980s. They were let me say it was transiting, like there were some upgrade, they will be adding things to modify the language to make it easier and better. So another feature of Python includes portability. Python is quite portable. Like you could use it in different operating systems. You could move it from a Windows operating system to a Linux operating system and to a MacBook operating system. So you could, it's very portable. It doesn't throw error while doing such. It runs seamlessly when moving it to those systems. Another feature of Python that we'll be talking about is extensible and embeddable. Python is quite extensible and embeddable in the sense that it can be able to accept, like when you are trying to increase, like get a high profile language into your project, into whatever you are trying to do, you could you could embed some other languages like C plus plus, like Java into your Python code. Python quite, it accepts, it has those features. It can be able to marry in those languages into it. So another feature of Python is high level interpreted language. Python is quite a high level interpreted language. So it's quite a high level interpreted language in the sense that like some languages I've mentioned in C and Java, that you might be worried about some, maybe in running it, you might be worried about some futures. But Python, when you run Python, it's automatically, when you type a Python code, when you want to run a Python code, it automatically converts what you've written to the language your computer understand, to the language your computer system understand. You don't really have to worry whether the computer is lower or is higher or does this. But the when you run that Python language, it will definitely convert it to the language your computer understands. So another feature of Python is large standard libraries. I've mentioned this during the introduction. We mentioned that it has an extensive standard library. So Python has a large standard library that enables us, makes our life easy. That it has pre-built modules and functions that we could import to our project, to whatever we are doing, that will make our life easy in whatever we are doing with Python language. Object oriented is another feature of Python. This feature of Python helps you to basically solve complex problems. Like it converts complex problems into smaller smaller sets by creating objects. So we're actually going to see this, what we actually mean by object oriented, as we go further into this course. So another thing we'll be talking about today is, why do we use Python? So why do we use Python? Why Python language? Despite other languages, we have varieties of languages, like so many of them. So why Python? So we study Python. We're learning Python because it is it has a general, it is a general purpose language. Like it is being used, like when we in the introduction part, we talked about it being popular, for its popularity. So Python is popular. It serves as a general purpose language. You can use it in most in almost everything. Like for example, you could use it in web development, as we mentioned earlier. You could use it in AI integration. You could use it in data sciences. You could use it in data analysis. You could use it in mathematical computation and the rest of them. That is why we say Python is a general purpose language. So another thing that why we use Python is that Python is not overly strict. Python is not overly strict. You don't need to define, like you don't need to, when we if you've actually come across a JavaScript code whereby you, after each line of code, you have to end it with a semicolon. Sometimes it might not really throw error, but most times it does. So in this case, Python is just a simple language. It's not overly strict. You can run the code without such semicolons and the rest of them, ending your code with such semicolons. You just type what you want and you get your code running. Another reason why we use Python is expressiveness on the language. Python allows you to write programs having great functionality with few lines. Very, 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 like Python are like, you actually want to achieve so many things, but you end up writing just a few lines of code. That is how what Python does for you. Like that is what expressiveness of a language means. You want to achieve, you end up achieving just like writing just a few lines of code. Great community and support. We've already mentioned this. Python has a community of developers that connect and network together to form this great community and support Python language together. So site built, why use Python language? Sites built with Python. We use Python language because there are so many sites built with Python language. There are really, really so many sites built with Python language. Example, you have YouTube, we have Google, we have Spotify, we have Reddit, we have Quora, we have Instagram, we have many, many, many sites that are being built with Python. So these are the reason why we use Python, because it's a general purpose language, it's not overly strict, expressiveness of language, great community, and there are so many sites. So this we have explained are the reasons why we use Python. So these are the reasons why we use Python. So next thing we're going to be talking about is installation of Python. So in our next video, we're going to be explaining how to install Python in your PC, whether you're making use of a Mac, Linux, or Windows. We're going to show you how to install it on your PC. See you in the next video.